Hello, today I'll be talking about app modernization, and what we're going to do is show you how you can take a traditional WebSphere application that was not written for the cloud and migrate it so that it will end up running on a private cloud where we'll be using IBM Cloud Private and running in a container with Liberty for Java. And we're also going to take that application and we're going to push it to the public cloud. For the public cloud, we'll use IBM Cloud Kubernetes Service. And again, it's running in a container, and it's using Liberty for Java. So we'll have to take this application that was written, it's a Java application running on WebSphere, but we need to take a look at it, determine what needs to happen for it to be ready to run on Liberty, which then can run in a container on the cloud. So once again, this is a code pattern that's available in a public GitHub repo. The documentation gives you step-by-step instructions so that you can walk through it. And in this case, we've provided a demonstration app so you can run it on your WebSphere application server and run the analysis against that app. Or we've also provided in the GitHub repo already collected analysis data, and we have the WAR file for the sample app, of course, so that you can shortcut the code pattern if you want to skip the data collection and jump ahead. Now let's talk about how we will do this transformation. So we're going to use two very powerful tools to make this happen. The first one is called Transformation Advisor. Transformation Advisor will give us a data collector that's a custom data collector that we can run to analyze our deployed application, and it will provide recommendation and advice on what would be involved in making that application ready to run on the cloud. And then we'll hand that over to Microclimate. Microclimate can push that application directly to a Liberty for Java container. It will Dockerize, it will make the application ready, and it will help us to actually deploy it right on the cloud. Okay, let's get started with Transformation Advisor. So again, if you follow the steps in the README, you'll see that once you're in Transformation Advisor, you need a workspace and a collection. I'll just create a new one. I'll use my name to keep it separate from other people's workspaces, and the collection might describe your app. So once you have your workspace and your collection defined, you see it gives you a way to download a custom data collector. So in our case, we're using WebSphere, running on Linux, and so far I always use the default apps and configuration. So when you press download for Linux, you'll get that custom data collector that you can install and run. And now the steps to do that are listed right here on this page, but they're also listed in the README for the code pattern. So while that's downloading, let's take a look at the steps involved. You see, you're going to have this downloaded file specific to your platform, and notice that's my collection name, appmod1. So you unzip it and you go to that directory, and then what you're going to do is just run it. So here's an example to analyze your EAR and WAR files on your WebSphere installation. So you tell it what your home directory is, and a profile name, and your user and password, and run it. It's really that easy. I've even tried this against a Docker installation, and what you can do is you can download this, and I've had to copy the files into my container just to run it and test it there, and then I copy the results out. But if you have the right network connectivity, it will automatically be uploading these results for you. Now, running this on the command line can take a little while, so I'm not going to include that in the video part of the demo, but we have a shortcut that you might also use, so I will encourage you to follow these steps and run this against an actual installation using our demo app that we provide, and then once you've done that, you might try it, you will hopefully try it against your own applications. But the short path will be to go ahead and continue on using the WAR file and the collection file that we've saved for you in our GitHub repo. So I can use this upload data to gather data that's already been collected. And this is what we're using here, so we can grab the data collection that was stored in our repo. But also, like I said, you might be running this like I did in Docker in some system that is not that easily accessible, so that it won't be able to upload for you. So you'll just copy the file and upload it this way. So here in our examples, we'll just upload that zip file. And here we'll get recommendations. So our preferred recommendation would be Liberty on Private Cloud. And notice the results here cover our one application that was deployed. If you run against your own installation, you might see some other things that were analyzed while it was running. We can expand this to see recommendations about other transformation types, whether we want to keep this as a traditional WebSphere app and move it to public or private cloud, or whether we want to just transfer it as a Liberty public cloud. Now, this is the one we're interested in. Let's click on that and see what the recommendations look like. So it jumps down, and notice it will describe the complexity for us. In this case, it's a simple transformation, so it gave us that information. It will analyze the apps, so we get application details, including the estimated development cost of migrating the application. And you can adjust the settings somewhat to make these estimates better match your skill set. Here you'll see where it will describe technology issues and external dependencies that you might have to deal with. And then at the bottom there are 3 more additional reports.
If you take a look at these reports, you'll see a lot of details, the analysis, the technology, the inventory, full of recommendations to give you a very good idea of what you're about to attempt to move to make sure you don't leave anything out. Of course, this was our very simple application, and already you can see that it's nice to have a view inside it to see what its dependencies are. Let's migrate the app. As you can see, the migration files that were created to Dockerize our app have already been uploaded. We have the server XML, the Docker file, the Helm charts, etc. What we don't have is we don't have the application binary, and if it was a more complex application, we might not have some external binaries. So for our example app, we'll just add the WAR file for the application binary. In our case, I'm going to take it out of the cloned Git repo where we had it in the examples directory. So I'll just upload that WAR file, and now our bundle is ready. We could use the download bundle up at the top, which is what we use in our example when we want to download this and use the CLIs and the Helm charts to push it to the IBM Kubernetes cluster. But what I'll do now instead is I'm going to use the right side of the screen with the deploy bundle, where I can deploy this directly to Liberty on IBM Cloud Private using Microclimate. So once again, following the instructions in the code pattern, we created an empty GitHub repo. So this is a completely empty, brand new repo, have done nothing with it. So I'm just going to put the URL there, my username and password. You can use a token, which would probably be recommended, but a password works. So the files will be pushed to GitHub, and there you can take a look at them, modify them if you choose, but they're staged in a GitHub repo. So I've got that. Next I'm going to go and get my Microclimate URL. So I have my existing version of Microclimate running that I'm going to use. I'll grab that URL, plug that in here. I'm just going to tweak the project name because, again, I'm sharing the system with other people. I want to know which one's mine. And then I press deploy, and it's off and running. While this is running, I've got links right here so I can take a look at the files that were put in that Git repo, the generated files and the content. I can look at the Microclimate project, see what's going on with that, and I can also click on a link to watch the job running in Jenkins. Microclimate is working with Jenkins to get this application deployed to IBM Cloud Private. So what I'll do is I'll let Jenkins run a little bit. I'm going to skip ahead in the video to where I can go out and look at the actual deployment. So I click on View Deployment. Now we'll go into IBM Cloud Private and look at the deployments, and you'll see a new deployment there, which is the one that we just created, and I'll be able to launch that. And now this little application that was running locally somewhere that we ran the data collector on, collected all its files, created all the artifacts to Dockerize it, make it run in a Liberty container, has been pushed out here to IBM Cloud Private. If I click on Launch, I'll go to the default page of that application, and you'll see it's the WebSphere default. For the example app right now, I want to add a /resorts to see our cute little resorts app. Notice that page shows that it's actually running on Liberty now, where we started on traditional WebSphere. And here's this app. And I think if you do get a chance to run through the whole thing, running this app on your laptop or on your test box and seeing it run there on traditional WebSphere, and then going through these steps to see it run on IBM Cloud Private, and go through the additional steps to see it run in Kubernetes on IBM Cloud Public. And it's very satisfying to see that you've taken an app and you've moved it to the cloud.